Hi Cancer, welcome to your December 2018 love reading. I'm Rena. Yeah, I'm starting over this reading because I had an interruption. And luckily, I was at the beginning, so I didn't have to do too much over again. The overall theme of December for you in terms of relationships is the World card. So you can see in her hand, now you could say those are batons, but it's supposed to be diploma, I think, as I recall. But this is a card of endings, so graduation day, if you will. Now, in December 22nd to be exact, Cancer is going to have a full moon in your sign. I should have said you are going to have a full moon in your sign, Cancer. And this, like all full moons, is a time when the sun is opposing the moon, the sun being at 0 degrees of Capricorn, while the moon is 0 degrees of your sign, in the 7th house of committed partnership. When we have full moons in our sign, we become aware of our needs. And it's also a time when you may end a certain way of life, a certain way that you think about yourself, feel about yourself, conduct yourself, promote yourself, present yourself. And I feel like with relationship issues, this can manifest as being aware of your needs, being aware of what you have been maybe like even sacrificing for another person, and not really feeling like you're getting that sort of return. And we're not talking about tit for tat and just like, I did this, so you have to do this, but just in terms of feeling like it's contributing positively to the relationship. If you do nice things for someone and they don't appreciate it, what's the point? It isn't because you're looking for validation. It's because you're hoping that it's going to cement the relationship or, nourish the relationship. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. But if the other person is never happy, then it's like throwing money into a well and hoping that somehow it's going to all amass and it's like a bank account or something, but it's just going into this black hole. So the other thing that I wanted to point out about this World card is that this could be you traveling and you meet somebody when you're traveling. That's always a possibility too. And actually, as I record this, the sun is still in Scorpio. And perhaps there's some kind of situation, I don't know. Well, I'm not going to get too involved in the astrology of it, so I'll just leave that there. And so let me look at the bottom card here, because this might inform the situation, a past situation. And this card can even be about travel, especially if you accept a job in another country. The Two of Pentacles can be like a job offer overseas. It can be some kind of like two people involved, or maybe a choice that you have to make between two people, or maybe even choosing between work and a relationship. If you, with that World card, there could be, maybe you have somebody that you have met or that you've been involved with, and now you have this dilemma because you've gotten a job offer far away, and you're like, okay, what should I do about this? The Two of Pentacles can be working two jobs, and maybe that has caused problems with your primary relationship and why it has come to an end, because a full moon in your first house affects that 7th house because the sun is there. So this could be like an ending possibly to a relationship, but if so, it's based on your own needs. So it's not really bad because you're trying to really honor yourself for some reason. But you could be choosing between two people. There could be an earth sign person that is connected to you somehow romantically. Taurus, Capricorn, your opposite sign, or Virgo. What crosses you is the Empress card. This connects with Taurus and Libra, but Venus, through Venus. If you notice, I don't know about this particular card, but they do show the Venus sign in the in the Rider-Waite deck. And there's a couple of places where they show it. This deck has a cross and that moon, but I don't see any Venus. Now, the Empress card is a card of love because of the connection with Venus, also motherhood. And so it's possible that you ended a relationship with somebody and maybe you thought this was going to be the person that you were going to start a family with. And now that dream is deferred. You have to wait because you decided, perhaps you decided that this person wouldn't be a good partner after all for that. I think overall, Cancer men and women are fairly good judges of character when it comes to having a child with. And of course, even a Cancer person can have a child unexpectedly or get pregnant unexpectedly. But if so, even the person, even if you don't stay with that person, I think more likely than not, they will tend to be fairly stable because you tend to be a cautious person. So this could be a Taurus person that is somehow not suitable. However, I would say also that this could be a woman who is using her femininity in a toxic way. Is it you? Well, maybe, possibly. If you are a female Cancer, I would not think that that is you first and foremost. This is what we would call, I hope I don't get in any trouble for this, but a shameless little hussy. You know, a woman that is a temptress. Yeah, it's rush hour, so I have to deal with the trains going by. Excuse the trains. But when I say this is a very important point. Because as a woman, I don't buy into this idea of a home wrecker or anything like that. I feel like it takes two, and if you're a woman and you have a man who is a spouse, and a woman is like this Empress in reverse, where she is very forward and trying to lure this man, he still is ultimately the one responsible. So this may show up as what is going on, and maybe what this Two of Pentacles is all about is maybe that's a choice that it could be on both of your sides, that he's trying to choose between you and this other person, and you're trying to choose whether or not you're just going to walk away regardless, because you may not want to deal with that person, and it's really the end. With the World card, this is the last card of the Major Arcana. So it's a very kind of like a, what do we call that? A turning point, perhaps, in your life where you have this major decision to make. And regardless of what the other person is doing. The higher message is the King of Cups. This is, I think, in general, this is the kind of person that if you're a woman looking for a man, it's like a sensitive man, a mature man, emotional man. This person may even be in your life, and you, for some reason, have kind of taken this person for granted. This would be another Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, or they have a very pronounced water influence in their chart, and that makes them emotionally available and open and mature. It's emotional maturity. Even if the person chronologically is a bit younger than you, this person will be wise beyond their years. And this could even be like a counselor, a spiritual counselor, or a therapist for some who need to deal with certain issues that they haven't dealt with. It can also be that there was something else I was going to say. If you're a male, that this is, and you need to, like, maybe you're the kind of guy that needs to become more emotionally mature. If this is somebody that you are attracted to, this kind of person is not really a stable choice. Maybe you're at a crossroads. Practical advice, 3 of Pentacles. This is about, you know, paying attention to foundation. And Cancer is good at that, actually. It's about, like, really saying, okay, there's flash. This is kind of like flash and there's substance. There's something that I'm looking for, somebody I can build a life with. There's a strong earth element in this reading. And it could point to a particular person, but it could be pointing to an attitude that needs to be taken, that I think you typically have. So for whatever reason, if somebody has turned your head, or if you, maybe somebody that wasn't really right for you, but you just got, like, distracted with this person and enamored by this person, you need to respect the longevity angle of a relationship. And there are people that maybe they're not so flashy and everything like that, but they have a lot of substance. They are the kind of person you can count on. The 3 of Pentacles could also be reiterating this idea of a lover's triangle, and there's a sexual component to it because it's earth, that there, or a material component. You know, the Empress in reverse may be a woman who uses her feminine wiles because she also wants to gain the abundance that the Empress card represents, but she's going about it in the wrong way. What is coming in is represented by the 7 of Wands. This is a very feisty card. It's a fiery card, and as such, it represents standing up for yourself. And for some Cancer people, this is not easy because you may waver in your... Cancer is a very, I was going to say unusual sign. Not really unusual, but there are certain contradictory elements to Cancer. It's a water sign, and yet it's a cardinal sign. So sometimes Cancers are very decisive in their actions. They can take charge, and they can even stand up for themselves. But oftentimes, you are a sign that is very prone to changeability and emotional vulnerability. So you may kind of do things a little bit in a covert way, and maybe even use passive-aggressive techniques. And part of this is manipulation of trying to get your needs met. That's kind of like an indirect way to get one's needs met. And this is about, I don't want to say in your face, but fire energy is very direct. So it's about taking a stand, standing your ground, and whatever this means for you. If somebody else is deciding whether or not they want to be with you, that can be a very demeaning position for you, and something that you don't want to participate in, because it can really take its toll on you. And you may actually be more empowered by being the one that leaves. And I think that, especially as I said, right before Christmas on the 22nd, when you have your full moon, you may gain some insights into how you carry yourself that isn't what you need to do. You may be like letting go of some of those tendencies to be insecure, to be hypersensitive, and you realize that you have to have more confidence. And sometimes you have to fake it until you make it. And it's not about arrogance. It's about deciding what is really right for you. And when people are not respecting those, I was going to say boundaries, because I noticed that this was the outcome, and this is about setting boundaries. 9 of Wands. Sometimes I think with water energy, there's water conforms to whatever container it is poured into. So there's a pliability with water. There's a impressionability. So especially if you're used to kind of acquiescing to others, water is yin, it's feminine, so it's passive. This fire energy for the last 2 cards is it's masculine. So it's like take charge. And the 9 of Wands is about, standing guard. Now, this does not mean that, about paranoia or anything, but it's about, I think in this context, it's about setting boundaries. And this could be in a current relationship, or if you're looking for a relationship, if you've ended a relationship, that kind of thing. And needing to be the kind of person who knows what you want in a relationship, and you won't accept second best. So these kinds of situations where someone else that you're with is, choosing between you and another person, if that's what's going on, that will not be acceptable to you in the future. If you have come through that and it has taken its toll, you may say never again. I'm not going to allow that into my life. So I guess the reading, we could say it ends on a theme of self-empowerment, which kind of goes along with that full moon in your sign. And, a great end to 2018 if you've been, I think there are a lot of Cancer people and even Aries and all the cardinal signs who have experienced a lot of challenges, but especially Cancers and Capricorns because of that Pluto influence, Pluto being in Capricorn, and that opposing your sun sign. And for Capricorns, obviously, that's in their own sign, but that affects your 7th house. Pluto in the 7th house, and also Saturn is in Capricorn too. So that can certainly put a lot of strain on relationships, to say the least. Okay, so let me pick this Whispers of Love card. Okay. You are limitless. Recognize this truth. You can do anything you choose to do. I love unicorns. I'm sure some of you do too. This is the back of the card too. So that is wonderful. And that also applies to love. This deck is actually supposed to be, I think, primarily for relationship issues, but, obviously, maybe it's for self-love too. And I know it's not easy to think like that. Sometimes we really feel like there are a lot of limits on what we can do. And let me read that second part after it says you are limitless. Recognize this truth. You can do anything you choose to do. So in terms of relationships, if you feel that a relationship isn't serving you, you can leave that relationship. You really can. And maybe you can't leave tonight. Maybe there are just too many things that you have to sort out. But you can do these things. It might be taking baby steps. It might be having to spend a lot of time alone so that you can get away from other people's opinions. Maybe that has kept you rooted in place because you have talked too much to other people and you haven't really listened to your own heart. But wherever you are in this moment is not indicative of your potential, where you can be 6 months from now, a year from now. It really isn't. But it is daunting, I'm not going to lie, especially if you've, been living a certain way for a long time. It is going to take a certain process. People want these instantaneous revelations and release of fear, and I don't think it works that way. Maybe sometimes it does, but I think a lot of times it's gradual. And it's all about believing that you're deserving of it. I think that's first and foremost. So anyway, Cancer, I hope you enjoyed this. I wish you all the best in December. If you'd like a private reading, the link to my online store is below this video. Have a great month. Bye.